Welcome to the STR Data Lab.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the STR Data Lab. I'm Jamie Lane, Chief Economist at AirDNA, and I'm joined today by Matt Kruger, the co-founder of DMS Stays. Matt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So, Matt, you are a short-term rental host investor in Iowa. One, congratulations. Two, why Iowa? And most importantly, why short-term rentals in Iowa?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I wish that I had a clear answer as to why we started doing here outside of just me being nervous to invest out of state. I was born in the wonderful state of Wisconsin, but moved here when I was really little. We've been Iowans all of our life, and we decided to start investing here because this is where we were comfortable investing, and I wanted to be close by, have that control over it. And ended up doing quite well through it. So we're really happy with it.
Yeah. So I know you got started in long-term rentals and then made the sort of leap into short-term rentals. And it's a story I think we hear pretty often of maybe people were listening to, is one of my favorite podcasts, listening to Bigger Pockets and sort of get interested in real estate investing. And then many times get short-term rental curious. Like they hear about it, hear about higher returns, maybe try it out and either see success or not. So, and is that maybe what happened with you guys or something entirely different?
Yeah. So, just like anybody else, Bigger Pockets was something that I'd listened to a little bit, but honestly, it was more through just watching, I don't know, content creators, influencers on social media talk about it. Michael Elefante, man, I feel like I mentioned him in every single one of my podcasts here, but he was a big influence on me because, him and his wife were living in a conversion van, traveling the country. He had worked, I think, at Domino's or something, and then got a job with Google. And I was kind of in the same boat. I actually worked at a Sprint store slinging phones 10 years ago. I was making about 35K a year, and we were just trying to figure out what to do. And then my last job was with Google too. So it really, like, he related to me and made me think, like, if a normal person can do something like this and leave their job through it, then, maybe we could try it out too.
So what was that factor that and led to short-term rentals? Like what was it and the higher returns? Was it just like wanting to get into hospitality? Was it wanting more sleepless nights? Like what was it?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard a real estate investor say that they got into short-term rentals because they wanted to deal with guest messages. But maybe those people are out there. Like, I just wanted hospitality. Money was not a factor in this. No, it was totally money based. But yeah, I mean, for us, it was something where just some of my backstory. Like, I graduated college in 2013, with a degree as a youth pastor. I ended up getting a job as a cell phone rep, making next to nothing, as I mentioned. And my wife, who was a vet tech, got pregnant. And we both had the desire for her to be a stay-at-home mom and raise our kids. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? So we kept researching, and their parents had some play to this too, because they do long-term rentals. But for us, it's like, how do we even qualify and stuff? So we actually started through house hacking. We would buy a single family home, 3% down as a primary residence, move into it, and then live in it for a year as we renovated it, move out, rent it out. So that worked really well for us until, a point where we didn't really want to move anymore, because it gets old really fast. So I think we moved 5 times in 5 years and built a good base. And we were at this point where it's like, this is working, but now we can see, instead of it just being, some side income, passive income, generational wealth building for the family and stuff, which is all great things. We started to see this as a potential for replacing my income and letting me leave my W-2 and just do this full time. But I don't know, our 10-year goal was like, maybe by the time it's more like 15, 20-year goal was maybe by the time I'm like 45, 50, we'll have enough long-term rentals to make it happen. Like, our cash flow on our long-term rentals are good. I mean, we bought low, we have low interest rates. We built a lot of sweat equity, so I can't complain. Cash flow is wonderful on them. But how can we accelerate this? And that's when I really like, I sat in this, I think we call it the analysis paralysis, for probably a year, just studying and learning and listening as I'm driving and hearing other people be successful. And I'm like, what's the quote? You miss all the shots you don't take. And that's it. I'm
That
like, we built this business on our weekends and evenings. It's like, what's one, just try this differently. But I was too chicken to try it out of state, so I wanted to try it local. And we live in Des Moines, and I'm like, well, this is not a great market. At least I didn't think it would be. It's not a vacation spot for sure, but that was kind of why we started this. The motivation to answer your question was money, was to try and do something to cash flow more, but then try local as well.
Yeah. So you say that Des Moines isn't a vacation spot, but there's clearly some demand that you guys are capturing. So how did you get comfortable that guests were actually going to want to stay in your property, was it that you switched some long-term rentals to short-term rentals, or did you go out and find properties that you thought would really perform as a short-term rental?
Yeah, so number one, I just have to say, like, anybody who says that markets are oversaturated doesn't really understand the business and does not understand how to be a successful host. There are more hosts and more properties than there used to be, and it's more competitive. But that's why you need to make sure that you're using software like AirDNA to do your market research first and understand what types of properties are out there, and what types of amenities are being offered, because that is a key, part of putting this all together. So, yeah, to answer your question, like, I personally, at first, I did not feel like my long-term rentals, because they're more like suburb areas, like not easy walking distance to stuff. So, but I also wanted to keep growing, wanted to keep buying. I was working my W-2 job. I could qualify for another conventional loan at the time too. And I'm like, let's just buy another property. Let's try closer to downtown, was kind of what I wanted to do. But to do our research, we used AirDNA to figure out what type of property to buy. So, I looked in the metro, and at the time, I want to say there was like 900 properties around the entire Des Moines metro and surrounding cities. So not much. But one thing that caught my eye immediately was the fact that it was like high 70%, maybe 80% of properties had 3 bedrooms or less and only slept up to 8 people. Now there were some of these larger properties, but this was a key thing for me, because I'm like, okay, most of these properties don't sleep, larger groups. So let's try and target larger groups and do like multifamily gathering stuff, or, reunions, or, groups coming in for weddings and stuff, and be able to accommodate more. So the first house that we bought was right downtown within walking distance of restaurants, bars, shops, stuff like that. Century old home. The basement's actually unusable. I had to lock it off from guests, which is a great, storage area, but we have 4 bedrooms and we can sleep 10 guests. Now, at first I didn't put a hot tub because I was scared to spend the money and put the investment there. But that is another thing that I saw as well through AirDNA, is that like a lot of the properties were not offering hot tubs, where, that could give us a competitive edge. So we ran for a year, without a hot tub, but with the 4 bedrooms sleeping 10 people. We put the mural in, we put the game room in, we did all of these other things to create an experience the best that we could, to separate ourselves from the competition. And we very quickly became one of the number one properties for larger groups in the Des Moines area, and made good money. I mean, I want to say that first year we had a revenue on this house we bought for 160K. Like, we saw it was like 69K in revenue. We cash flowed $2,500 a month after all expenses, and we're like, we're sold on this. So, and then we've just grown from there. So yeah, yeah.
And what year was that?
That was 2021.
Okay.
That was the end of 2021 is when we opened that first one up. I think we went live January 1st of 2022.
And so, and we all know, or at least any sort of long-term listeners of the show knows, that a lot of properties sort of peaked revenue in 2021 because of, and sort of a lot of supply growth that came in after. and very strong demand, and in that sort of 2021 period, in 22 period. So, but it sounds like you've continued to evolve your properties. And what have you seen in terms of revenue in those units? Have they continued to grow as you further amenitize them, or and has it pulled back some?
Yeah. So, no, we've actually just seen growth year over year continuously. So, yeah, 2022, I want to say that property was low 60s for revenue. 2023, it was high 60s. And right now, for booked revenue for 2024, we're at 85K at that house. So, yeah, no, it's definitely increasing. I mean, there's been other aspects to that too, right? Like, better revenue management, better kind of looking ahead to make sure that we're, optimizing, specific dates and pricing and minimums and last minute stays and all those things. But amenities have definitely played into that too. Adding things like better listing photos. I went off of my phone. Yeah, I was one of those guys. For the first year, it's like, no, I'm not going to spend $200 to pay somebody to come out and make good photos. But we got professional photos done. We dropped a hot tub in there. We added like more than just a Nintendo Wii. Like we have a arcade one-up system now. And then we, have done like special accent walls and other things, and created a more like backyard family environment with a climbing dome and fire pit and stuff there. But yeah, so, and the listing photos definitely help too. Professional ones to increase that. But yeah, I mean, then we've rolled into two more properties. And we've got themes. The other two properties both sleep 14 guests. They've got 5 bedrooms, 3 baths and 2 baths. So yeah, hot tubs at all of them, game rooms, like big murals, all the things. Like our goal was to try and like just create an experience. So that way it wasn't just like I see Des Moines not as a vacation spot. The term that I coined was accommodation location, not a vacation destination. So it's a place where people are traveling to. So you might as well, make it a place where, people see your property and it stops the scroll there, and then they want to stay there with their family because they see that as an experience in and of itself too. So yeah.
So, and that's amazing. And it seems like you've continued to build on that theme that you've seen that has worked, of large homes sort of going after families. In your experience, like, one, we'll suggest that no one out go out there and try to do the exact same thing, because and maybe leading to the question, like, for further growth after this, like, do you, and is there, let's say, saturation in that large family home market in Des Moines? Like, how many families are gonna, and how much further could you grow this? Versus, like, and at some point, are you thinking, like, if you wanted to continue to grow, would it be having to move outside of your core market, or maybe going after a different type of guest coming into that market?
Yeah. So, like answering that question as a whole, I would say to any investor out there, never just keep repeating the same exact thing. Like all good things eventually will maybe not come to an end, but you'll need to change it. You can't just like we saw in 2021, a bunch of hosts got comfortable, just kept throwing properties on, and then now they're dying because they did not put in the work to create the experience and to have the amenities and the do listing photos and to have the revenue management, all of the other things, or they didn't even research the market to begin with, but they saw some profit because there were no other properties. Well, it's way more competitive than it used to be. So you can't just, put some beds in some rooms. I mean, I've been shopping around Des Moines at properties that are short-term rentals that are for sale because owners just they can't figure it out. They're not putting in the work to figure it out. And actually, I looked at one just this last year. I thought it was just a house that was staged, but come to find out, they actually had a magnet on their fridge with their website. And it's like, oh, this is actually short term rental. I just thought it was a staged house because it was that boring to me. Because they had nothing. I mean, they had this nice backyard with nothing in it. Like, okay, like I mean, you're not going to make money. Houses are more expensive. Interest rates are higher. Like, it's harder for sure. But what I can say is that, number one, like we're already looking at our first property that we opened the end of 2021 at what can we do to keep growing? Our revenue keeps increasing, which is great. But, number one, some of the stuff that we have in there is getting older. 3-year-old beds. It's like, when you start replacing mattresses, how do you keep up with this stuff and keep your property, at number one? Like, what other amenities can I add? I'm looking at a potential barrel sauna. Nobody's doing that out here. Nobody. I have not seen a single property with one. So it's like, how can I integrate this? Like maybe I'll pull myself out of downtown and create more of like you know, a full on experience property with pickleball courts and stuff like that too, because I don't see any of that stuff out here. So that's what I would say to anybody is like, make sure that you're always looking at the properties you have, at what amenities you can add, at what changes you can do, update your photos every couple of years, do these things to stay relevant. But secondly, diversify. Like we're not completely out of the idea of adding another one, but I also, I know there's different regulations and stuff. Like Des Moines does not have those right now. We just operate the same as you would a long-term rental, but those regulations could come in eventually, and I don't want to find myself stuck with all of my eggs in one basket, as they say. So always be diversifying, be looking in other markets too, be looking to do different things. So we're thinking about potentially doing a smaller property next and still within Des Moines, but have it be like a romantic getaway type of opportunity and throw in all the things, have a two-person sauna, have a little hot tub and, create more of like an experience with, gift basket and wine and charcuterie board and all of these other things, for guests coming in to try to just do something different. Maybe even market midterm rental stuff too, potentially. But so we're kind of tossing some of those ideas around. We've got a long-term rental. So what can we do next? So all these wheels are turning for all these different ideas. So
Yeah. And you talked through a few of the things that are maybe risk to the businesses, but is there anything that sort of keeps you up at night as like the biggest risk right now to the business that you've built in either long-term or short-term rentals?
sadly, I would say that my biggest like stressor is reliance on Airbnb. So hopefully nobody from Airbnb listens to this. Maybe actually, hopefully they do because this is something that hosts should not need to worry about. But as of right now, about 70%, 65% of our bookings come through Airbnb directly. And there's always the scare of losing that and then like they operate a lot of our business and we rely on that income that comes in from them. So that's a risk, but as long as you're doing the right things as a host and you're taking care of your guests, you're keeping your reviews up, you're keeping your communication up, the risk for that goes dramatically down. There's been a few horror stories that I've heard, but on the flip side, make sure that you're building your business like it is your business. It's not Airbnb's business. It's not just a house that you open and say, "Hey, Airbnb, here you go." It's a house that you're opening and needing to create as your own business to build your brand. So that's something that we've really implemented this last year, building a website and marketing on Instagram and Facebook, and also like marketing to return guests as well with signages, signs up on like a refrigerator and stuff like that, magnets, coffee cups, so that way they can see it's not an Airbnb that they're staying in, but it's a DSM stays property.
Yeah, and, and I was preparing for the interview, I was on your guys' direct booking site, which and was great,
Thanks.
and,
That was
love
only like 80 hours with me in WordPress. I'm not a website developer, but whatever.
that's what I was gonna ask, and it looked like you had embedded videos of the properties, like, great photos, like, I've looked at a lot of direct booking sites over the years, a lot of them sort of so many property management systems have, like, "And we'll just create a direct booking site for you," and, like, none of them looked as good as yours, so, like, how did you do that?
Yeah. So, initially, so WordPress is what I built it through, and you can buy templates and stuff, which I did buy a template, but I ended up just trashing it because it was not what I wanted it to be. The biggest thing was, I mean, like I've got some friends and such and acquaintances who have good direct booking websites that I liked, and I just kind of, made it look kind of similar to some of the stuff that I liked. There is a company actually that I've been talking to. I actually just spoke with their CEO and founder. Man, I should know his name, but just this last week, Crafted Stays is the name of the company, that they're kind of coming up and helping with some of that too to create a better site. But I mean, you can pay like Boostly, Mark Simpson. He's a great dude too. You can pay them to create a site for you, but it's it's really important to have a decent looking website that's easy for people to understand. For me, it was at the time I thought it would only take me 15, 20 hours. It ended up taking 80 to 100 to really perfect it and to make everything work. Once you learn how to do it, it becomes easier, but the learning process was hard. But yeah, so but I saw the importance of that, and we direct people to that. We've got QR codes like on our refrigerator. I've got a flyer that I made through Canva, and it's a big like laminated refrigerator, making it with a QR code, and it says book direct and save 10% on your next visit or whatever. And we give them a promo code to use and stuff. So we see honestly we've been pretty happy with that, seeing some of that come back. So that's been really good. But we do about 10% direct right now.
So 10% direct, and then where does the other sort of 25% come through?
Verbo.
Verbo.
Hmm. Yep.
And then how are you pulling that all together? Are you using a property management system, or are
I
you
am.
sort of piecing it together with iCals or something like that?
I am. So for those of the listeners here that follow me on social media, rental cash flow. I've been doing some content creation for a couple years now, and I'm not huge, just a couple 100,000 followers, so not not millions or whatever like some of these guys are. But I talk a lot about Hospitable. They have been key to us with our honestly with automating about 90% of what we do. So as you scale, I learned very quickly that trying to do everything on my own was next to impossible. And using Hospitable, like they help basically automate about 90% of our guest messaging, all of our cleaner schedules, and then all of our calendars are all synced through there too. So I just open Hospitable and I can literally see, okay, this listing is Verbo, this is Direct, this is Airbnb. It is syncing them through each website, so that way if somebody's looking to book direct, they can see what's already blocked from the other sites. It also, we use Price Labs for our dynamic pricing, and that syncs through Hospitable, and then Hospitable spreads it out to everybody too, so prices are the same. I can like add I add a 3% increase to my prices with Verbo because there's a higher fee for using Verbo, stuff like that. So it helps a lot with that stuff and takes a lot of the smaller daily tasks away from me for sure.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the PMSs. Like, it's just been personally like I had been hosting, and like 10 years ago on Airbnb, just bought a property, sort of set up the automation through PMS. I'm using uplisting, but it is night and day of like operating today
Yeah.
with a PMS versus like doing it manually before. Like, I can't imagine trying to scale a business without it.
Oh my word. Yeah. Whenever I talk to another host and they're like, yeah, like I've just been doing it my own. Like I only have one property. So I just, I message my own guests and I deal with my own prices. Like, number one, it's like, do you know how much? I mean, if you can, separate yourself from the guest messaging. I mean, like Hospitable even offers AI communication now. So, like, if a guest asks for an early check-in, AI detects the question, and I have a response already set up, so it just sends it back to them. I don't even need to deal with some of that stuff. But like the amount of time that it saves me, I can use to optimize my listings, to research more on AirDNA. Different markets or whatever too. I use BNB Calc to like specific property stuff too to get right in there. But yeah, like if you're spending all your time dealing with the operational things, you're spending way less time finding new properties and optimizing the properties that you have. So you're just gonna, keep spinning in circles and not be able to grow without it for sure.
Yeah, and that maybe gets into another question I had for you. And looking at your Airbnb pages, so it's like like 370 reviews, 4.97. Some of your properties only 5-star reviews. Like, is this like just because you've made it full time, you've got 3 properties, you're just able to focus intently on it? Like, what would you why I'm average Airbnb host is like a 4.7. An average professional manager is like a 4.6. Like, you guys are clearly doing something right in terms of the hospitality side of the business. Like, your guests love you. Like, What do you see as that sort of differentiating? Like, what are you guys doing?
That's a great question. So yeah, we threaten our guests. Yeah, we I know. No, no. Yeah, I am proud of that 4.97 overall. Some of our properties, yeah, our longest standing property is at a 4.99 with it's like 160 reviews. I'm not quite sure how many now, but yeah, I am proud of that. Honestly, I think the the two biggest things that contribute to that are number one is probably communication more than anything else. A guest wants to know that you're there. I worked in a sales related job for 10 years, Sprint, but then I worked with Apple and Google and was a trainer and an account manager and just working with people selling stuff. You have to empathize with the person. You have to get personal with them. They want to see you as a person, not as a company. So, just saying like, this is, DSM stays. No, they want to know it's like, hey, like this is Matt and Mariah. Like, we are so excited to have you at our property. If there's anything that you need, please let us know. I send them a message immediately when they book. And this stuff is automated, but immediately when they book, a week out, 2 days before with check-in instructions. So just continued communication. Even the day after they arrive, they get a message in the morning like, hey, I hope that everything was exactly how you expected it to be when you checked in yesterday. If anything seems off at all, please let us know so that way we can correct it. So like that communication, I think is essential for that. Quick responses to their problems and showing that you care. I mean, in this business, stuff's going to go wrong. In any business, stuff will go wrong. You're not always going to have a working hot tub. You're not always going to have electricity. You're not always going to have Wi-Fi. But it's doing the right things when those things happen and showing the guests that you care and that you're a person that cares makes that difference. Like this last week, we had a giant tree limb 2 weeks ago. We had a giant tree limb fall in the backyard of one of our houses, and it literally took the entire mast for the power lines. It ripped it right off the house. I went over to the house because we got notified that the Wi-Fi was down. The Wi-Fi was down, so was all the power in the entire house. Thankfully, I did not have a guest there. It was midweek. It's more of our off season right now, but I had a guest checking in that night. I was able to get the power restored pretty quickly. For a heck of a lot more money than I thought it would be. But it's like $2,500 just for this pole fix. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. But uh, but then I had a group coming in for one night, and they were there for it was like a not track, cross country, high school girls team. They were there for like state championship. What I don't even know what. But there was 12 girls and then their coaches, and I could not get the Wi-Fi restored until the next day. So I reached out to her, and of course, they're past cancellation. It's the day of arrival, and I called them. So like, I could have just sent a message and been like, you're out of Wi-Fi, whatever. But I call her, and I'm like, here's the situation. Here's what happened. I've done everything that I can to fix the problem. I can't get the problem fixed. There's no Wi-Fi at the house. Everything else is working. I want to let you like, and I knew it wasn't ideal. It's not ideal for anybody. But it's like, I will refund 100% of your money, let you find a different place to stay. If this is what you want. She's like, no. She's like, it'll be good for the girls to not have Wi-Fi just to focus on the meet next day or whatever. But it's like, okay, like, are you sure? Like, I want to help. It's like, I could have just offered a partial refund, but like, that's not gonna, solve the problem either. So it's like, give them a full refund if they want it, or just let them stay as it is. She said they would stay. So then I went to there's a like a high end grocery store nearby, and I bought like $50 worth of snacks, chips and drinks and cookies and all these things, granola bars. I put it on the kitchen table. I write a really nice note with it. Thank you so much for your understanding. We hope you guys the best of luck for your competition or whatever. And this, guest ended up just raving and raving about how amazing of a time that she had. So it's like it's finding ways, even in bad circumstances, to make them good circumstances by empathizing with the situation and by making it personal. So that's a big part of it. The other part of it then as well is the overall guest experience and educating your guests on how to rate that experience. So having killer properties with awesome amenities, having good cleaners that you pay well, that have the property sparkling clean every single time. That way, when the guest gets there, it's comfortable, it's right, it's how it's supposed to be. And then we have a sign in our house that literally says like, we're a small local company. We operate off of reviews. If there's anything that has not earned us a 5-star review from you, please let us know. Airbnb grades us very harshly. We need, a anything below this is a failing grade. So let us know. I also have a message sent to them 2 days after they leave that says something very similar again. It's like, we want to welcome you back as well. So that way they're educated, because some people are old fashioned and they don't understand that a 5-star or anything below a 5-star is technically a failing grade, with most companies now. So education, personalization, communication, and experience. I just kept talking there, so hopefully that was not too much
No,
information. Okay, I
that
warned you
was
ahead of time.
no, that was great. I mean, it's something that I think not enough people realize. One, like how much five-star reviews can impact your performance. And then two, of like, and sending those messages, most of which you've probably automated, like does not take a whole lot of additional effort, but probably has a massive impact on your business, on your bottom line, your ability to get repeat guests. Like the sort of correlation there, I bet is very strong of what is making the difference between a good investment and a bad investment has nothing to do with the property you bought, how you amenitize it, all these things. It could come down to, are you sending a message the day someone books, the week ahead of time, having the right communication during the stay and the right communication after the stay? Like that could be making the difference between you continuing to be able to operate in this business versus like having an underperforming property that you're having to exit out of.
Exactly, exactly. And I think more hosts need to really look into and understand, like, how is a guest rating you? Like,
Mhm.
what are they rating you on? They're rating you on check-in, they're rating you on location, which location can be tricky because that's, an opinion, not just based off of like where the house is, but how the neighborhood is too and the experience that they had getting there. So, sometimes you can't control that, but do the best you can. And then communication. So, and cleanliness. So if the house isn't clean, that you're going to have a harder time. If your communication isn't there, you're going to have a harder time. If you're not, if you're not communicating about that check-in as well. I mean, I think we have a 4.99 for check-in and a 4.99 for cleanliness. Some people you just can't please, but, and they won't even tell you why. But like it's those things that you need to be thinking about because they are vital. If you look in Des Moines, Iowa, and you're searching for a property to sleep over 8 people, our 3 properties are the first 3 properties that you will see, because we are highly rated, which Airbnb pushes. They promote properties and they move them up in the algorithm, for communication, for experience, for rating. Our properties are in the top 10% and 5% of properties. Guest favorites as well are moved up. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. So, and maybe coming up on towards the end in the interview, but for others out there looking to make their first foray into short-term rental investment, one, could you give some advice on what you would suggest on taking that first step? And then two, looking back over these and few years that you've been doing it, what are maybe one or two mistakes that you've made that you would like to sort of scream from the rooftops of like, hey, don't do this, uh, and learn from me, sort of thing.
Yeah. So looking back, I feel like we honestly, like I feel like my biggest mistake with this was not starting sooner. I was scared, which, like, I mean, you're always going to be nervous about something until you actually try it out for the first time, right? If you spend your whole life being scared about something and never even trying it, then someday you're just going to be laying there on your deathbed and thinking about what could have happened, should have happened, whatever, and never did, and you'll never know. So it's worth taking risks in life, to see that reward. any entrepreneur that you talk to, anybody that you talk to who's found success and escaped the W-2, done their own thing, whatever, become ultra wealthy. I'm not ultra wealthy, but any of these things will tell you that they had to take risks in order to get to where they are. Nobody just had it, handed to them. That's not how life works. So take the first step, and just try it. Like for me, I've always been a learn as I go type of person. I talk to people all the time who it's like, I'm just learning, I'm just learning, I'm just wanting to educate myself. I want to know everything before I start, blah, blah, blah. It's like having a baby. I mean, come on, like you have a kid or you get married or whatever else, and you're not going to know how to be married until you're married. You're not going to know how to raise a kid until you have to raise a kid. I have 4 kids now, and I still don't know how to raise kids. I still learn new things every day. Yes, educate yourself, but also educate through doing. I would say that's my biggest mistake is just sitting in that analysis paralysis, telling myself that I'm just learning and, waiting for the right opportunity, blah, blah, blah. It's like the right opportunity is not just going to show up one day at your door. You're going to have to go find it. So buy a property. The longer you wait, if interest rates go down, house prices are going to become more expensive. At least now you can buy a little bit lower and then refinance later. Also, like, look to buy properties that you can put equity into. I have never purchased a property that was turnkey. Never. If there was a super cheap property that was turnkey, that might make a difference, but they're just not really out there. If a property is ready to be moved into, it's more expensive. So, we have, I won't even say, over a million worth of debt. But we have almost double that in equity now, because we've bought these properties over time. They have appreciated, but we've also added sweat equity to them. So that helps mitigate some of that risk for me too. Because if I buy a house, like our first two I bought for 160 and 165, and they're now worth 300. And I put about 25 to 40 into them for renovation costs, which we did a lot of it ourselves. You could pay somebody to do that, but that still helps as kind of, a fallback in this situation, not putting yourself in a hole. But yeah, I mean, buy now, learn as you go. And the quote that I'm going to use that I use all the time, is use your weekends and evenings to build the life you want, not escape the life you have, because that is what 99.9% of society does is they make the excuse, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge. You have the time, you're just using it, hanging out with friends, watching sports, whatever else. You can find the money if you really want to find the money, like we did. We did 3% down on properties because I was broke. And you can learn as you go. So take these things from me as someone who, has gone the slow way, and hopefully that'll help speed you up a little bit.
Awesome. Well, Matt, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your story. So, if people want to and follow you, and find out more about you and sort of follow along with your story, how should they do that?
Yeah, so I'm usually putting content out every day. Most days. Some days it's more entertaining than others, but I just kind of share our story and what we're doing and some of our ups and downs and things. But TikTok is where I'm primarily at. Rental cash flow, Matt Kruger. I'm on Instagram too, and I put most of the same stuff there. But yeah, rental cash flow, Matt Kruger is how you will find me.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.